Welcome to Design Your Way, the podcast that helps you build a creative career that truly reflects who you are. You're finishing your studies or just starting out in the professional world, in architecture, design, or any other creative field, and you're wondering how to navigate this transition, find your path, and build a career that feels meaningful to you. I'm Louise Blanche, a final year student in architecture in France, passionate about creation, communication, and entrepreneurship. Here we talk about everything we don't learn in school: how to land your first job, understand the reality of the profession, how to create your own project, and how to present yourself in a way that attracts the right opportunities. We'll meet twice a month for expert interviews, conversations with other students and young professionals, and some more personal episodes where I will share my reflections and the lessons I've learned along the way. Whether you're a student, a recent graduate, or already starting your career, this podcast is here to support you, to give you practical tools, and to inspire you to move forward at your own pace. So, are you ready to build your career as intentionally as your projects? Welcome to Design Your Way. So in this episode, we'll dive into what it takes to find a job after graduation and how to market yourself to attract the best opportunities. Hi, I hope you're doing well. I'm really glad to meet you here again. This is the second episode, and today's topic is so important. Following other architecture students over on Instagram and talking with my friends who are already graduated, I really figured out that finding a job after graduation was really not that easy. A lot of people end up jobless for quite some period of time, and some of them just never go back into architecture or creation. And unfortunately, this is getting quite common. But if you're like me and already stressing out about what will happen after graduation, even when you haven't even graduated yet, then maybe you would consider these few strategies to be able to market yourself a little bit better and get higher chances of finding a job. Because in architecture, we learn so much about creation and innovation, but really we do not learn anything about how to market ourselves. But the truth is, in the professional world, that's pretty much the most important skill. So from this episode, I really want you to get some strategies and some actions that you can take to make your work more visible, to put you in front of the right people, and maybe get some more opportunities. So let's start with the strategies. What you need to understand is that if you're making great work and you're doing awesome projects, but no one ever sees it, then it's like if it didn't exist and you don't have that much value. Talent doesn't equal opportunities, and that's something that we really need to learn sometimes the hard way. Yes, you might be an awesome architect or an awesome artist, but if no one ever sees what you're doing, then you might not get a job or a client or a contract. That's why visibility is so important, because visibility puts your work and your person in front of other people, and these people might actually be the right fit for you. You need to make yourself loud, not like annoyingly loud, but you need to make yourself present, visible. You need to stand out in the crowd, but to be able to stand out, you need to actually exist. And existing is so important. You need to be visible because, we all have a neighbor that we've never seen, and to us, this neighbor doesn't exist. But if we do see this neighbor every single day and we actually chat with them a little bit from time to time, then this neighbor becomes so much more important. And then when we need someone for something, we will think about this neighbor. Well, it's exactly the same in the professional world. If you don't make any sound, if no one can ever see you, then it's like if you didn't exist and no one will think about you when there is work to be done. And that's some opportunities that you're missing. That's why you really need to put yourself out there and to be visible. But don't show only your work, not only the work done. Like if I tell you, yesterday I made a table, well, you don't really believe me, do you? Then if I tell you, yesterday I made a table, and you see the final table, you will probably believe it a little bit more. But now if I tell you, yesterday I made a table, and now you see me actually making it on my own with my bare hands, you see the process, then you will believe it even more deeply. And this is why showing your process is so important, because we literally only believe what we see. So if you tell me I did this, you don't show me that you were doing it, then part of me still doesn't believe you. That's why you need to show not only your finished work, but also your process and your ideas. So after this episode, I really want you to start thinking, how can the world see me and how can the world understand what I can do? Now that you know that you need to be visible, then how do you make yourself visible? The key element there is to communicate. Yes, communicate. Of course, if you want to make yourself visible, it means that your message is going from A, yourself, to B, the person who is going to see your work. And basically transferring information from one person to another one is communication. So how do you communicate? Well, there's two ways. You can communicate by yourself through channels that you own. For example, through LinkedIn, through content creation, through any media that you can directly upload your work to, or through any mean that you can directly talk to the person you want to talk to. Or you can do indirect communication, but we'll talk about this a little bit later. Let's start with the communicating by yourself. The best example for this is social media. And the professional social media is LinkedIn. So we'll focus a little bit more on LinkedIn. I know that a lot of people hate LinkedIn. I understand why. It seems very fake. It seems very corporate. But the truth is that in the professional world, LinkedIn can be such a game changer for you. Like, for example, I just got my work through LinkedIn because I posted that I was looking for an internship over on LinkedIn, and then a past teacher of mine saw it and asked me if I wanted to work for him for a specific mission. If I hadn't posted on LinkedIn, I wouldn't have a job right now. Just to tell you that it does work sometimes. So how do you use LinkedIn? You don't have to be a full LinkedIn content creator, but you want to showcase what we just talked about. So you need to showcase your work, but also your process and where you are in your career. This means please don't only post on LinkedIn when you are searching for a job and just sending out your CV like this and hoping that 500 people will try to hire you. This is not how it works. So for LinkedIn, the most important is to actually just build up some credibility. LinkedIn is like a digital portfolio, so you really need to treat it like that. Of course, you need a complete profile, a nice picture, and having all your information that is detailed over there. But what is, I think, pretty important is also having some posts. When you're starting a new mission, a new job, or just a new project, you can just post that you're starting it. And then at the end of it, you can do a wrap-up post where you show the work that you did, the different stages of the process, and then wrap it up with what you learned from it. This is just a great way of having this digital diary of all the work experience that you're gathering at the same time, so it feels more authentic. I really recommend going all in on the networking over on LinkedIn. Just add every single person you ever worked with, you ever had in your class, all your teachers, every person you know from close or far can be such a great asset over on LinkedIn because you will build up a network, and then once you have some more people, you will be able to ask even more people. And sometimes it's actually super useful to try to prospect or to try to communicate with someone that is not in your own circle. If you have a few connections that are similar to them, then they will have more chances of accepting you, and this can actually create new opportunities for you. Now that we've talked about LinkedIn, let's just explore content creation. Content creation doesn't have to be for everyone. You should do it if you want to do it, and if you don't. It takes a lot of time, a lot of energy. But I would say that if you're interested in it, it's such an interesting topic. It's so interesting. It gives you so many skills. I learned so much through content creation, and there's so many ways of creating content. You don't have to show your face. You don't have to be a lifestyle creator. You can be extremely professional, but still being a content creator. But the most important with content creation, when it's something that is, professional enough, is that it's literally a public testimony of some of your skills, especially about communication. For me, when I'm making this podcast, I'm literally sending the message to the world that I am able to create a podcast, I am able to communicate, I'm able to talk for 30 minutes straight on an interesting topic, and that's a very interesting skill. And through content creation, it's not only the communication skill, but it's also that you're showing consistency. You're literally showing anyone that is looking at your page, if you're posting consistently, that you can do a consistent work, you can keep up with a project, you can build something from the ground up. And it's also a great way to showcase your personality, and people will have a better idea of who you are and what are your assets. For me, I know that having this YouTube channel actually changed quite a lot in my life, even if I didn't really understand it. Every single time I'm getting accepted for a job or anything, people are looking at it and then they're thinking, okay, we actually need some help for communication, and she has these skills. I don't really have to say anything. I just say, yeah, I have a YouTube channel, I have 30,000 followers, and they can see that I did all these videos, that I know how it works. And I don't need to show it. I don't have anything about it in my portfolio. It's just a little line on my CV, but it's literally just a proof that I have the skill. And this is so valuable. So content creation can definitely be a shame at first because you don't really know how to do it. You have to better your skills, but I think you can really reach a point where it becomes a real asset, even in the professional world, and more so in the professional world. And it literally helped me land my last internship, where they were looking for someone to also do the communication, and I was just doing the communication for the firm 1 day a week, and I think it's definitely a part why they accepted me, so it can be useful. So we explored the direct communication that you are posting by yourself, but you can also communicate through other institutions. This can be possible if you're joining your school associations, for example, and you're starting to dive a bit deeper into this. Then you can be the person representing this association or your school in some bigger context, and so you become the visible person and you can get known in the industry. What is interesting with this institutional communication is that it gives you visibility, but it also gives you legitimacy. It's in a framework, if you're part of an association, then you have the legitimacy to represent it. You have the legitimacy to be there and to talk with more important people sometimes than if you were just, a content creator, for example. I think it's especially interesting if you want to join more the institutional conversation, let's say. So if you're more interested in networking with people who are more involved in institutions, then you can get some good networking with the institution. So if being on your own more as an entrepreneur is not your thing, definitely think about those paths. It's a bit more structured, it's a bit different, but it definitely has a lot of potential too. And second way is through competitions. This is especially for architecture, for example, but it can also work for design. And it's just a great tool for visibility. If you take part in a competition, you instantly become part of this network of people who are taking part in it. But also think that the competition itself is doing some communication work, because that's how it works. So if you're ending in the top 3, for example, then they might actually do an article about you, or you will be put on some other platforms that you wouldn't be able to reach on your own. So it can be just a great tool to reach new circles and to reach new people. A friend of mine actually got her current job because of a competition. She didn't have to apply for any internship, any job, nothing. They literally just came to her. She had taken part in a competition with a friend of hers, and these people in El Salvador were able to see it, and then they reached out to her and she landed a job without having to prospect or do anything. They just came to get her because she had been put in front of these people through the competition. So if competitions is something that you're interested in, don't hesitate to take part in it. And people usually forget about this whole communicational aspect of it, but it can be very important for you to bring you new opportunities. And last but not least, this is so important, although so many students just don't really think about it, and it's networking. Networking is not about having so many contacts, it's about having real human relationships, because we are all humans and pretty much all the opportunities are working because of human bonds. That's why you really need relationships to be able to success. Networking is actually more about having conversations, about helping each other and staying in touch than anything else. It's about having people you know that if you need them, you can call them. It's not only a phone number somewhere in your contacts, it's someone you know you can reach out to. And to be able to network as a student, it feels sometimes a little bit complicated, especially with professionals. But you can already start networking, first of all, through students, because all of you will one day actually be professionals, and those can be very useful. It's also networking with your teachers, for example. You can add your teachers on LinkedIn, you can add your classmates on LinkedIn, and same, your teachers, most of them also have a firm or are working on the side, and they can also help you get some great opportunities. And then it's about being in the network. Networking is also meeting someone through someone else, and that's why it's so important, because once you start having a real network with people you can talk to, people you can share stuff with, people that can help you and that you can help, then you can start growing your network through them. And this can be so important. So don't hesitate to talk to your teachers, to build relationships, and really to try and foster as many relationships as you can on very healthy basis and just on building human bond with other people. And for this, you'd really need to be genuine, curious, and to put yourself out there. So to find a job after graduation, you really need to make yourself visible. Put yourself out there, maybe through LinkedIn or content creation. You can leverage institutions or competition to make yourself and your work even more visible. Show your work, show your process, show your ideas, and build and nurture relationships with your network. It's never too late to start doing these, and these will bring you opportunities in the future like they brought to me. So I really hope you can use these strategies to help you build a career that feels right to you. So if you learned something from this episode, you can leave a thumbs up if you're on YouTube, and if you're on a podcast platform, you can leave me a review. I would be super happy to read it, and it would also really help the podcast to reach people that would be interested in it. So I really hope you liked it, and I'll see you in 2 weeks for the next episode. Bye!